are back on another episode of Sports Slice, and we've got a returner, the Nate LaJoie. He was here a couple weeks ago. We were actually breaking down some Brendan Sorsby dilemma going on and some of the UFC stuff, but this week, it's all college football. It's August. College football is officially back. I know it's been a couple weeks, but how have you been, man?
Doing great, Tim. Thank you so much for having me on again. It's going to be a pleasure.
Dude, it is really the best time of the year. It's like you get into like that last week of July. Now, I know this summer was a little different because having the World Cup and stuff, but like you get into the dog days of not having college football or the NFL, and it's like, man, like I don't know what to do with myself. Wake up this morning, it's Saturday, August 1st when we're recording this, and it's like college football is back in 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks. Like
Yep.
It's here. It's here.
It's like a new lease on life, man. You got the college football gearing up. You got the Hall of Fame game for the NFL next week. So we're out and we are seeing the light finally.
100%.
We are getting through the end of the tunnel and football season is nearly here.
Dude, it's got me so fired up. And we're going to go dive deep into the college football and whatnot. But one of the things that I've found so funny, and maybe you've seen this a little bit, but on social media, it feels like every year there's either former college players or current college players, or even just like family members of college players that are like posting these videos on social media of, you know, don't expect to hear from your kid who's playing college football for like the next 3 weeks because they got their fall camp. And it's like there was, I think it was Bob Does Sports. One of the people from Bob Does Sports was like rating the worst days of fall camp. And it was like, Day 15.
I saw that exact video you're talking about.
I was laughing so hard because he gets to the third day and he's like, yeah, honestly, the worst day is day 6 because it feels like you've been grinding for a month. You're only 6 days in. You're not even a full weekend, let alone you're not even into the double digits of fall camp.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, I'm like, I lived this. Like, I know exactly how it's like these people are feeling. And then I go to the comments and it's like, 99% of current former NFL players, current, past college players, and they're like, if you're rating the worst days of fall camp, did you really like football? And I'm like, yo, I love football. I love football. Love football. But I can't stand as a player getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, knowing that my day is over at 11 p.m. I'm like, I used to dread fall camp as a player. It was the worst.
It takes a different kind of crazy to enjoy an experience like a fall camp. And I've talked to, you're telling your testimonial right now. I've talked to, 1,000 different, college football players that have all detested fall camp. Obviously, it's for the greater good, of course, but getting through it is definitely a different animal.
Dude, it's brutal. It is truly like, it's something I'll remember the rest of my life. Obviously, there was some good memories and stuff, but the majority of it is like I'm talking about a war that I was a part of. I'm like, guys, like this is not fun. Anybody that says that they enjoyed fall camp, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, they're just crazy, or number 2, they're the biggest liar that you'll ever meet because nobody enjoys fall camp. But speaking of fall camp and speaking about some returners and whatnot. Some wild news in the NCAA world, in athletics in general, but it's directly going to affect college football here that starts in less than 30 days. A court ruled that class of 2022 high school athletes that would be graduated now have a 5th year of eligibility. Wild. Number 1, insane that this ruling is coming out right now. Because it impacts football, college football so much. Like, could we, I'm all for, guys getting another year of eligibility if it's, for a good reason. I don't really know what the reason is for this, other than there was talks that the NCAA starting potentially next year would switch for, from having a redshirt year and then 4 years to play, go into the 5-for-5 where you do away with the red shirt and you essentially just have 5 years to play regardless of injuries and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But still, like, there's really no rhyme or reason. And I think it caught a lot of people off guard. And we're seeing now some guys that are like, hey, like, I want to come back. The Boston College quarterback, Tommy, was it Castellanos?
Yes,
He was at Florida State.
Castellanos. Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And then there's an offensive lineman from Texas, and now there's a safety from ASU that are all like, "Hey, like we didn't get drafted. Let's come back and play another year." Which, like, I get it. I know you're a Clemson guy. The first name that I thought of, I was like, man, like if I'm Cade Klubnik or even Drew Aller, I'm upset because both of them didn't have great. I know Drew got hurt, but neither one of them had the best season last year, and it really hurt their draft stock. But if I'm one of them, I'm like, damn, I could have gotten my first round draft stock back or whatever by having another year. Like it's insane to me.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, even in those two guys' case, they come back for another year. Like you just said, who knows? Maybe they go in the first or second round as opposed to the, fourth or fifth, right? But like I said last time, and I know last time I was on here, we were talking about the Brendan Sorsby stuff, right? And the number one thing that you and I both said was nothing surprises us anymore. This doesn't even surprise me. It really doesn't. And I think the sport that honestly it's going to have the most impact on is going to be the upcoming college basketball season because those guys have much more time to ingratiate themselves into a program, right? You figure the college basketball season starts late November ish. Right. Now you have from August, 1 until the very end of November to figure out where you're going to go as a program, et cetera. So I think that's the sport that's going to affect the most. But you know that there are some guys that have been in buildings the entire offseason that went undrafted, that have been, either invited to camps, et cetera, that have still been in their facilities all summer working out, that they're now hearing this and thinking, maybe I can just play another year of college and try myself out, as far as the draft goes again next year.
Right. And it's like, it's so crazy because instantly when I saw all this, now I know he predates, situations of this sorts, but like he was kind of one of the OGs of coming back from after and, entering the draft. But do you remember Michael Turk, the punter?
Yes.
So for those that don't know who Michael Turk is or don't know his crazy story, he declared for the draft with ASU, did the whole combine. He was the guy that had like 38 reps for bench press or whatever, which is insane in general, let alone from a punter. But then didn't get drafted, went back to college, played at Oklahoma for 2 more years or something like that. And then, went and played for the Dolphins for a hot second. But like he was like one of the OGs of what we're seeing now with college basketball of like turning pro and then coming back to college. Now, granted, some of these guys that have quote unquote turn pro actually did turn pro in college and are now playing college basketball, which is just baffling to me.
Ridiculous.
I don't like good. You know what? It's not the kid's fault. Like that's the one thing I'll always say is like, yes, like I disagree with it, but at the end of the day, it's a situation that if they're allowed to do it, I'd be doing the same thing. Like
I totally agree. This is an institutional issue. If
100%.
a kid is told, you know what, you can go and play another year of college, even though you declared for the NBA draft, didn't get drafted, and now you can either toil around hoping that you get a spot in the G League or moving overseas and completely uprooting your life to go play basketball overseas, or just go back to college for another 6 months. You know what I mean? It really, if I'm one of those guys, and even I know Alabama was really at the forefront of this as far as the college basketball goes this past year, because I forget the guy's name, but he had played, I believe, in the NBA and then came back and it was ruled legal for him to play at Alabama. I think he only played in either 3 or 4 games, but still ridiculous situation. But that's not the kid's fault. That's the institution's fault.
100%. So I know we're kind of in the same boat of like, I can't get upset with the player. Now, the only one that I could get upset with is Brendan Sorsby because he did that to himself. But
that's totally different and more extreme case.
Right. But in 99.9% of the situations, it's like, it's just the kid taking advantage of the hand that is being dealt to him. And it's like, like if I was given the opportunity to say, hey, like Tim, you could go back and play college football for a year and collect $1 million check or whatever it is, Sign me up. Like, come on. But the one thing that I don't think a lot of people on the surface are talking about with this, we'll call it like a rule change essentially, is in college football, like there is a set roster limit now. If you take a Tommy Castellanos or whatever his last name is, if you take Tommy back, if you're Boston College, somebody has to get cut.
You got to cut a kid. Yep.
Yep. And now you have to have that uncomfortable conversation. And I get like you're a coach, you're making, you're Bill O'Brien, you're making $10 million, whatever it is. Like you've done it before. But you're potentially telling an 18-year-old kid, hey, like you've been working out the past couple months, but guess what? This kid's just better than you. Like, sorry, buddy.
It always seems as if they're just pushing the ball further and further down the road. First of all, it was, the COVID year. Then it was multiple COVID years. Now we're going back to, class of 2022, which was right on the back of COVID, which sort of was taken advantage of because the guys that stayed around for another year or two on the back of the COVID extra years. Now these guys get an extra year. Like at what point does, I guess you can call it, the statute of limitations in a way? When does that end? Because now, are we going to give, let's do the math here, are we going to give the class of 2026 another year in 2031 because the class of 2022 took some of their spots in 2026? It doesn't make any sense. So in theory now, every 4 years, we are going to give these guys an extra year of eligibility because of what happened 4 years prior. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
100%. And it's baffling. And it's like, I think truly, like, there's no way to completely fix it, but I think the thing, and we've talked about it actually the last time you were on, the thing that could trend in the right way is the Save College Football Act that the government's trying to pass. And I get like nobody wants, as terrible as it may sound, it's pretty bluntly, but like nobody wants the government involved in college athletics.
Correct.
However, if they're the ones that can come down and say, hey, you have 5 years to play 5 seasons of college football. That's it. If you get hurt 4 years out of the 5, you're out of luck.
Tough. Yeah, tough.
I like it. I mean, you can't have a 29-year-old sophomore or 7th year senior, whatever year they may be, playing college football. And I believe it was the SEC. It was either the SEC or even the Big Ten. Maybe they both said it last week that they were talking that really the only way to fix college football is to create like a minor league almost to the NFL, which like I don't necessarily think that's the right answer. Like you have the UFL, which should serve as that, as the guys that need to maybe develop a little bit more, get some semi-professional. It's professional, but it's not NFL experience. But like, I truly just think you go 5 for 5, do away with the red shirt, say, hey, you got 5 years, figure it out. Like
I agree.
It's
I agree.
so we've gone down such a bad rabbit hole. There's no way to get back out of it.
Well, that's the thing, is that we're so far past the point of no return when it comes to stuff like this and eligibility and, law enforcement getting involved and it going to the court systems and all that kind of stuff. And it's just so convoluted now, right? I mean, it could come out, you know what? It wouldn't even shock me if it came out that, they have now ruled that guys that were in 2023's high school class, have an extra year of eligibility, because like I said, at what point does it end? Right. And it seems as if they just keep pushing it down the road further. So almost saying, let's not deal with this now. We've already had too many complaints from the class of 2022. So let's just, give them their eligibility. It's almost like laziness.
Right.
At this point.
Right. And, we sit here, we blame the NCAA, and by we, I mean me. Like it's the NCAA's fault. But like at the same time, like I don't necessarily know if it's truly their fault. Also, like I think it's a combination of kind of like everybody's at fault. Like the NCAA has tried to enforce and say, hey, no, you don't have your eligibility. But then the player and his agents or whatever sue, and then the law says, hey, like, he's got a case. So it's like it's the product of the system that has been created over the years, and it's just, with the specific legalities between different, roundabout ways to get eligibilities and stuff. It's just it's so, honestly, it's interesting. Like, never in a million years, like me growing up, I graduated 2017. Never in a million years did I ever expect to see players that are, the same age as me still playing college football.
Yeah,
Like,
right. It
seeing a
really is crazy.
25, yeah, seeing a 25 or 26, 27 year old, and you're like, brother, what is going on? What did I do wrong? Like, nobody gave me the memo that I could sue for another 3 years of eligibility. Come on, like, it's
It's
crazy
nuts,
stuff.
man. It's nuts. But like we've said a couple times now, it's past the point of no return.
100%. But in a more positive side of things, the season's coming back. Is there anybody that right now is on your radar, team wise, that you think could make a not only an appearance in the playoff, but a deep run into the playoff?
I think this is going to be a very important year as far as the future of the University of Michigan's football program
Mm,
goes. I think bringing Kyle Whittingham in, I think he was really the perfect guy. And I know a lot of people sort of had an issue with that hire, but you're bringing in a guy with 20 plus years of head coaching experience at a high level. He completely, you know, brought Utah into, the national limelight with Alex Smith back in the day and all those great teams that he's had over the years. 2008, they went undefeated. They've won a couple Rose Bowls here and there. But I think he was the perfect guy to bring in. So now it comes down to the roster, which was sort of dismantled over the last couple of years. But I think that they're a team that if they can end up somehow at 9-3 in the Big Ten, and their schedule is a little bit softer this year than it typically is, I think they could be a team that could sneak in to one of the last two spots. As far as a team that I think not a lot of people are talking about right now, I think I would go with Michigan. USC is another interesting one in the Big Ten. I think both of those teams have a realistic shot at getting to a 9-3-ish. And like we saw last year with, Oklahoma and Alabama, 9-3 is really the, okay, we have a shot record right now.
right. I'm intrigued with Michigan with their quarterback situation. Do you like Bryce
Very.
Underwood?
Probably not as much as a lot of people do. I still think he has a lot of growing to do. And then obviously all the off the field stuff with his NIL valuation and, maybe wanting to transfer, maybe not, who knows what the hell is going to happen with that. But I think this is a big year for him too. But bringing a guy like Kyle Whittingham in that has been, a quarterback guru in his day. He had a lot of success developing guys at Utah. I think that it should be a very big year for Underwood too.
Nice. I'm going to plead the fifth on my my opinion about Bryce. Um, Maybe that gives the answer.
I got
But
you.
I here's the thing. I'm a Notre Dame guy, but I truly I'm probably one of the few people that will ever say this. And there's going to be Notre Dame fans that are out there like, this guy needs a bar of soap to wash his mouth out. But like, I like Michigan, and it's because
Yeah.
I like Jim Harbaugh. I liked JJ McCarthy. I think Kyle's going to be a really good hire. The one thing that I was a little thrown off from, but everybody does, handles these situations differently, is him saying that the rivalry should not involve hatred with Ohio State. I got to witness it firsthand. Those fan bases, they hate each other. The players, they hate each other. Kyle's going to be the only guy out there on that field, in that stadium, on Columbus's campus, Ohio State's campus next year, that doesn't hate anybody. Like,
I mean,
that's part of that. That is truly part of the identity of that rivalry. is just
That's like telling Yankee fans and Red Sox fans not to hate each other.
right, right.
Or
It's
Bears
just
fans and Packers fans or something like that. So I don't know exactly what he was angling for there. Maybe it's some sort of, 4D chess type thing where he's, we're not going to hate them. And then they come out and smack them in the mouth in November, right? But who knows?
right. I mean, 700 days ago, they were planting a flag, caused a fight. Guys
Yeah.
got pepper sprayed. Like, come on. Like, we go from that to we're not going to hate. Like, I get it, coach change, all that kind of stuff. But no, the hatred's still going to be there. But no, I think 9-3, 10-2 is a fairly reasonable expectation out of Michigan. Again, it truly boils down to quarterback play.
Agreed.
And again, pleading the fifth on my opinions on Bryce Underwood. I think I'll talk about Bryce Underwood of last year. I think there were two quarterbacks on Michigan's roster that were more talented for the offense that they were running. Now, I've heard that I guess the plan is Michigan's going to kind of let Bryce Underwood be like high school Bryce Underwood, where he's going to be able to run the ball more and get him out
Okay.
in space and spread things out, make it a more like empty style. And you make the game easier from a quarterback standpoint when everything's spread out and it's not all condensed. So I think that will help him. It's just last year in the style of offense that Michigan was running, where it's like more of the pro style. That's not Bryce. Like you
Yeah.
got to let Bryce sit in the shotgun and kind of dice teams apart. Like I don't want to say he can't play under center, but he's not an under center quarterback. And I think
And that happens with a lot of guys these days,
100%.
because the high school systems are so out there and wacky. Nobody plays under center anymore in high school. So even when they come to college and have to learn, it's like learning a new language.
Right. And I think you're seeing that with all sports is like the development, because really what the big issue with quarterbacks specifically is they're not being developed the way they were 10 years ago in high school. So when they come to college, it's like the coaches are, hey, I'm going to teach you what you need to know. And that's it. And so when these guys get to the NFL, like everybody expects a guy like Fernando Mendoza. Now, I think Fernando Mendoza is one of those outliers, but they expect these top 5, top 10, top 15 picks that are quarterbacks to instantly go out and start. And it's like, guys, the quarterback position is not like a left tackle. It's not like a receiver. It's not like a corner. Like they have to know everything. And chances are they barely know maybe 40% of what they should as a top 10 pick. Like it's the honest truth. You'll see quarterbacks that are, sophomores, juniors in college and can't even break down what they're seeing defensively and like what are the tells based on, a corner's leverage. And you go and ask them and they're like, coach, I throw to open grass. Shout out Mike Leach. But it's like, it's true. Like Mike Leach was like and Mike Leach is one of the greatest coaches in college football history. But like Mike Leach coaching offense was throw to open grass, find open grass. Like that was the main teaching point of a Mike Leach offense. And for his offense, like that's what you need. But for the development of a quarterback, it's like, you walk into an NFL, meeting with your quarterback coach and you're like, so
nothing.
Yeah, you're like, what are you looking here? I'm like, I'm looking for the open grass, coach. And it's like, all right, we got to start from the foundation. Like there's no foundation built. So I think that's a similar thing with Bryce Underwood is like you put him in a more comfortable style of offense, and I think it will help him.
Yeah.
We'll find out the first couple weeks. Like if they've got some fairly reasonably winnable games.
Exactly.
Pulling up the schedule here, but like Michigan does not have a super difficult schedule.
And that's why I'm saying I think if they can if they can go into Ohio State at 9-2, depending on how they play in that game, say they give Ohio State a real run for their money, I think everybody is saying playoff team,
100%.
right? But if they go in at 8-3, right, and lose, I think they're out. So I think it's all going to depend on the kind of start they get off to. If they have a hot September, October, I think a lot of people are going to be thinking that this is a playoff caliber team. And I know we've been talking about quarterbacks, right? This year in college football is really setting up to be sort of the year of the quarterback. I feel like every quote elite team or team that, we think has a shot to compete to go to the playoffs or get to the national title game, for example, has an elite quarterback. Is Bryce Underwood right now at that point? I don't think so, which I really think sets Michigan back. And I know I brought up USC. I think Jordan Mailata is a very, very good quarterback, and I think that could put USC over the top in the Big Ten over a team like a Michigan. But I mean, you go down all the guys that are going to be playing this year. I mean, Dante Moore, Sayin, Manning, right? Your boy CJ Carr. I want to talk to you about how you're feeling about CJ Carr, right? Darian Mensah at Miami, I think is my Heisman dark horse right now. I think he's going to be fantastic there after he put up huge numbers at Duke. And then obviously you still have Chambliss in the mix. So everybody, I feel like every big team has a guy right now under center.
I agree 100%. The one thing, the Mensah, I gotta talk about it now. I just gotta get it out. So I'm a Duke and Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
Like I've got the family connections to Duke. I love Mensah. Darian is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. It pained me to see Miami steal, not get him to transfer. They stole him from Duke. Same thing with Duke's top receiver. I think he'll play really well at Miami. I think you are correct. I think he could be a dark horse Heisman hopeful. The one thing that's fascinating is Duke. I think Duke is one of those teams that's going to fly completely under the radar this year until maybe week 7, week 8, where they're sitting at 6-1 or 7-0, depending on some of these early games that they've got. They don't have like a superstar quarterback by any means, but they've got one of the most talented defenses in college football that isn't getting talked enough because Manny Diaz is a defensive mastermind.
Yes, he is.
Like he did it at Penn State. He's now doing it at Duke. And the one thing that Duke has that I think a lot of teams, specifically in the ACC, don't have is they've got this wild, like, the world is against us vibe. Because the ACC and college football came out with that rule where, like, there's a rule change to the ACC champion based on, like, the tiebreakers and stuff. Because, truthfully, Duke sitting at 8-5 probably shouldn't have been in the ACC championship, or 8-4 sitting in, sitting in the ACC championship.
Well, 7-5. 7-5.
That's what it is. Yes.
7-5.
And Miami's sitting at home. And so, you're Manny Diaz, and it's like, yeah, like they changed the rules because we not only made the ACC championship, but won it. And now they want to change the rules after we did this. And so if you're Duke, like, if I'm a Duke fan, I am cautiously optimistic for this season, just solely due to the fact that they've got the us against the world vibe, which is the same vibe that Michigan had when they had the whole NCAA coming down on them for the Connor Stallions thing. Now, I'm not saying Duke is going to make a national championship run. They're not that good. But I think they're good enough to make a noise come the end of October. You're sitting with maybe one loss because they have a super favorable schedule.
Very soft.
And I mean, that's just how Duke's schedule is. Like, a lot of the ACC teams don't necessarily have the hardest schedule.
So now, question on the ACC while you do that. Do you see the ACC being a one bid league this year?
It could be.
Do you think they get 2?
I think Miami at this point right now, I think it's a mortal lock that Miami's in the playoff.
Yes.
Like, their team, just based on roster and just on paper, they are. Now, I'm going to be biased here for a second. They are a one-loss team in the playoff, losing to Duke. That's not going to happen, though. Unbiased, not going to happen. They might still be a one-loss. They might lose a game here or there. Like, that's just Miami. But I think Miami's a lock. If Miami doesn't win the ACC championship, then you're getting 2 teams. And like that could be
Agreed.
a Georgia Tech, which
SMU is going to be solid
SMU,
this year.
yep, yep.
I think we
SMU,
have. I think we have a little resurgence this year too. By the way, I think we being Clemson, for those of you that aren't watching visually, I do think that Clemson, after a horrific year last year, both sides of the ball just never clicked, lost a bunch of close games, right? Didn't get hardly anything out of the quarterback position. I think that Clemson can make some noise this year. And the one thing about Clemson that I really like in looking at their schedule is every quote difficult game that they have is at Death Valley, right? But I think we're going to learn a lot about Clemson week 1 when they go down to LSU. But as far as the ACC goes, I think it's wide open. I think you could either pass Miami. Miami's clear, number 1, clear cut, 1,000%. But you got an interesting Duke team like we talked about. You have an interesting SMU team who I think is going to be a little bit better this year than they were last year. And then you have Clemson, who's always sort of lying, snake in the grass, sort of, been down for a couple years. But who knows? I think they have enough talent to make some noise.
and we kind of forgot about Kevin Jennings when we're talking about these elite quarterbacks. Like SMU's got a dude. And
yes, they do.
So much so, they are literally, and I know it was talked about, I think the news came out maybe last week or the week prior, so it's not super up to date, but they're literally building a sports performance building named after a player that is currently on their roster. Like,
Really?
yeah. Kevin Jennings is getting like a sports performance building named after him on their campus, which is like unbelievable. Like, it's good for him. Good for him. Like, give him a little round of applause.
That is cool. Oh, yeah.
But like, I can't fathom that. Like, you look at some of the greatest players in the history of college football, a Johnny Manziel. I go back to Johnny Manziel because he is the clear-cut guy that if I'm playing college football and I find out a player's named after a guy that's currently on the roster, it's Johnny Manziel. Like, you look at Aggie Stadium, his freshman year, compared to the year that he left, they added what, 40,000 seats, 30,000 seats into that stadium.
Yep.
So
they made it a full bowl instead of being a horseshoe.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously SMU must love Kevin Jennings, which he's a good ball player. There's no doubt about it. Now, do I think he's that good? The verdict is still out. I think he's more of a product of a system that, you throw the football 50 times a game, obviously you're going to be a Heisman candidate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, SMU is a team that could be sneaky. I think they're ranked preseason top 23. I think they're 23 or 24.
I think they're right around 20. I don't think they cracked the top 19, I guess you could say, but I'm pretty sure they are right around the 20 number, which, again, they're another team. In the ACC, I think you got to win 10 games regardless. I
100%.
think nine will never get in the ACC. But if they can get to 10-2, and I haven't looked at their schedule, but I'm going to assume that it's not one of the more difficult ones in the ACC, right? So if they can get to 10-2, I think they put themselves in a good spot to get to the playoffs for the second time in the last 3 years, which is incredible for a program like that.
100%. And another thing, like, we have not talked about them at all because we don't know what the heck is going to come out of this team. But UNC, like, you got Bill Belichick as your head coach. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Like, they completely overhauled their roster. They brought in a million different transfer quarterbacks. Billy Edwards, who's at Maryland and Wisconsin, and Miles O'Neill, who's at A&M. They also had another guy. I think he was an FCS quarterback from, I forget, his first name's Taron, Taron. But the dude like put up insane numbers, and then he committed to UNC, and then it was like May or June decommitted because he was like academically ineligible or something. But UNC is one of those schools too where it's like, hey, like, no team in the ACC has a super tough schedule. So you get hot at the right time. Like, you got a couple easy wins early, and like, you just get the ball rolling, and you never know. Now, I don't foresee UNC winning more than 8 games. They're not beating a Duke. And even though it's a big rivalry. I'm sure my UNC fans are upset about hearing that, my opinion on that. But we should have known. I'm trying to pull up UNC's full schedule here. Um, so they start out the year again with TCU, which who knows? Like that is truly a like throw a coin
Toss
up
up.
in the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you got East Tennessee State. That's FCS school. That's a win. You're not beating Clemson. You're not beating Notre Dame. Could beat Pittsburgh. Not beating Duke. Probably going to beat Syracuse. Not going to beat Miami. So like they're going to probably be sitting at 8-4, 7-5. Which if you're UNC, I'd be okay with that.
I'd snap your arm off right now. After what happened last season. If you told me right now that North Carolina has a winning record this year, I'm snapping your arm off.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, I'd love to see UNC with like a 2-10 record at the end of the year. I just don't think it'll happen though.
Listen, man, as a diehard New England Patriot fan, and knowing the influence that Bill Belichick has had on teams prior, could he somehow pull a rabbit out of the hat, get them to 7-5, 8-4? Sure. I've seen him perform miracles. I have. I grew up with this guy as, one of my football idols. He was the head coach of, in my opinion, the greatest dynasty of all time, right? But I just think that the game has passed him by a little bit. And I hate to say that because going into last year, I really, really wanted him to succeed. But I just think it's too much of a circus there. They have stuff with Michael Lombardi coming out and, all that kind of nonsense that's surrounding him right now. And who knows if he's even going to be, ever able to come back to the school. But I just think there's too much nonsense, too many moving parts, way too many transfers in there. Who knows if they're high quality transfers? You don't until they get on the field, right? So I think as far as the ACC goes, Miami, SMU, Duke, Virginia is an interesting one because of how much they lost, right? I mean, they were a very old team last year, lost a lot, but I think they have a great head coach in Tony Elliott, so we'll see. But the ACC is going to be interesting. Now, I have a question for you now.
Sure, let's hear it.
Looking at the SEC, who, in your opinion, will be representing the SEC in Atlanta?
Now, real fast. I was going to laugh, and it's funny that you transitioned to the SEC because I was like, we got to be the only two people in America that we first talk about the Big Ten, and then we go right to the ACC. Like, who cares about the SEC here? Like, come on, like,
listen, man, I'm tired of the superiority complex of the Big Ten and the SEC. Give me old school, man. Give me some good ACC football.
The gritty teams. Yeah, the ACC of the Atlantic Coast, even though we've got Stanford in the ACC.
Oh, don't get me started on realignment. Don't get me started on realignment.
But no, I mean, it's always tough with the SEC because like the easy answer is Alabama.
Of course.
You got Alabama, Georgia. I think Georgia will continue to be really good. Alabama, I don't know, and it's not any player related things. Actually, it kind of is. It's Keelan DeBoer, I think, is a really good college coach. I don't necessarily believe he's a Alabama head coach.
Okay.
Like, and what do I mean by that is you look at every stop that he's been at, and he's been successful. I mean, he was super successful at Washington. How do I want to word this here? I don't want to like put him on blast, but I'm going to. The level of discipline from Nick Saban-led Alabama teams to Keelan DeBoer-led Alabama teams it's different. Like Nick Saban, you make one little mistake, you might not see the field the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Keelan DeBoer, like it's kind of like, hey, like don't do that again, I think that was Alabama's biggest issue last year. And I know I talked about it numerous times on TikTok throughout the season of like, why is Alabama losing? Well, like they're not doing the little things right. And hopefully this year, they take a step back and say, hey, like we had X amount of holding penalties. We had X amount of, targeting, whatever it may be. Like, it was not an Alabama team that we're used to seeing, and it's been that way since Keelan has taken over. So now, with that being said, though, love their potential starting quarterback of Keelan Russell, friend of the program. Shout out Keelan.
Love that.
Came on the pod here a couple weeks ago. So it's tough to not say Alabama or Georgia, but I'm not going to say Alabama or Georgia. I actually don't think. No, I'm not going to go that far. I'm saying LSU. I got LSU. I'm a big Lane Kiffin guy. I think that Lane Kiffin has essentially assembled the Avengers of college football at LSU with all these transfers. Like, the guy is breaking every rule possible. And he's the guy that's benefiting from not getting in trouble. Like, if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I'm pissed because I'm getting in trouble for buying a recruit a cheeseburger. And this dude is texting a kid that's committed somewhere else during the day. Hey, dude, like, how much did Ole Miss offer you? Yeah, like, we'll take them. So, like, LSU's got too much talent to not be one of the top 5 teams in college football. And I think Lane Kiffin's one of the best head coaches right now in college football. And they've got also a very talented quarterback in their own right in Sam Leavitt.
Sam Leavitt's the real deal, man.
He is.
The real deal.
He's just got to stay away from the basketball courts during the season. The little rec league basketball causing him to miss a handful of games. I'm not confirming nor denying that happened. I have no proof. No proof. I'm just saying a rumor that's allegedly out there. But I mean, you keep your roster healthy, and I mean, the sky's the limit for Lane Kiffin, Sam Leavitt, and LSU. So that's my pick. Who do you think?
So I'll tell you right now, you brought up Alabama. I think Alabama this year could very well slip to 5th or 6th in the SEC. If you look at the landscape of the SEC right now, you have Texas. Okay, and we haven't even mentioned Texas yet, who on both sides of the ball should be phenomenal this year. All depends on how the quarterback plays. But when you have a team around Arch Manning, like the one that Texas has, it doesn't really matter all that much. Then you have Georgia, who I think is going to be really, really good again, should be a top 5 team in the country. Then you have Ole Miss, bringing back Chambliss, huge deal there. I think Oklahoma is going to be a team again that's going to be really tough to beat. You know, my old friend Brent Venables, guy knows how to coach defense. Okay, this guy is a defensive guru, always has been at Oklahoma when he was the DC the first time, at Clemson forever, now back at Oklahoma. He has them playing his kind of football. It's ugly, but it's effective. And then you have Texas A&M too, who's still sort of, you know, I talked about sort of a snake in the grass type team earlier. A&M really is, and I think they're good enough to be a top 10 team in the country once again this coming year.
100%. I love Mike Elko.
Yes.
Mike Elko is very similar to Manny Diaz of, you know, regardless of how good or how bad the offense is, that defense is going to show up each and every single week. And I mean, you see it, you know, the Texas A&M Texas game this past year, like, it was unbelievable play by defense. It's just offense could never get things going. And
even in the playoff game that they lost against Miami, Texas A&M's defense was unbelievable the whole game, right? And their offense really cost them in that game. But I think, you know what, you can say the same about in Oklahoma with Brent Venables, and their defense is tremendous too, and their offense sputters at times. But I think, you know, and I know the point that I'm making is that Alabama has really slipped down the totem pole quickly in the SEC. But with the new landscape and the transfer portal and the money that these teams are spending on a yearly basis, it only really takes one offseason for you to completely lose control of where you are in your conference because of what all the other teams are doing. And, you know, it's a very reactionary sport. It always has been, but that's been exacerbated in, you know, this environment that we currently have. And so I think that, you know, going from, you know, Nick Saban to the Kalen DeBoer era, you almost sort of lost, you know, the luster around Alabama, and now they're scrambling to try to recover some of that. And who knows, I'm dead serious, they could really finished 6th in the SEC this year, which is a crazy statement to make.
I'm going to say, I'm going to put it on record right now. If Alabama finishes with less than 10 wins, DeBoer's getting fired.
Yes,
and
100%.
Lane Kiffin will be having one of the shortest stays at LSU. That man will be going back to Alabama, as he should have been Nick Saban's replacement. I've said it since day one. Lane Kiffin knows Alabama like the back of his hand. I get, things maybe didn't end great between him and Nick and whatever it may be, but he is the right guy for Alabama, because you don't need that prestigious, high, whatever you want to say, coach anymore in this era of college football. Like, yes, he fits that bill, but you more need a guy that can relate to the kids, which Lane Kiffin obviously does. I mean, you ever been on his social media? Like, the guy has posted some wild stuff. And
he relates to the kids, all right.
Yeah. But you gotta like, I think he's the perfect guy for Alabama. Now, with that, though, with what you just said, I'm so glad. And I don't know if it was somebody at LSU or his whole family, his daughters or whoever it was, took his social media away from him for a temporary period of time, because wow, it was just it was unbelievable there for like a solid month. It's like, my guy, like, you're a 50-year-old man. Like, let's lock in. Like, let's go. But nonetheless, like, I think he's the guy for Alabama. Like, and this is all theoretical, but like, you have so much money involved in college athletics now. Like, he'll be able to bring the boosters that don't want to necessarily support back and make everybody more intrigued by Alabama just because of his personality.
100%.
Now, does that happen? Again, who knows? Maybe DeBoer shocks us all and Alabama goes and, makes a run, and we see a Alabama-Georgia national championship like we saw like every other year in the late 2010s or early 2020s. But I'm fairly confident LSU is going to have a really good year. I like A&M. I mean, Georgia's like the most consistent team in college football.
Agreed.
Like, they're gonna make the playoff.
That's a guarantee. You can pen them. I'm not even gonna say pencil. You can put that in pen.
Yeah,
that they're
it's
going to
just
be
what number they are, right?
Yes, correct.
Like, right now, you could put Georgia every single slot, because like they're finishing 1 through 12. It's guaranteed. Like, go and take it to the sports book and win your $20. Big 12 wise. Big 12, everybody was talking about how nobody from the ACC should make the Big 12 outside of Texas Tech. I love ASU, but man, I think the Big 12 is going to be in trouble this year.
I know we brought up Utah.
Yep.
I think Utah has a chance to be a top 20 team. I think if everything goes right for them, they can push for maybe that final playoff spot. Another team in Utah that I think is going to be solid is a BYU, who some people thought got robbed of a playoff spot last year. But I think after those three, Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, you're in sort of dire straits in the Big 12, man. I really don't know who else. I'm trying to think of who else I think could be decent in that conference.
One thing, like, I feel like Baylor could potentially be a team that maybe makes some noise early. I mean, we've seen that so many years. Like, it's the same song and dance, whether it's with Bryce Petty or, I mean, RG3 was a different story, but like, Baylor gets off to this crazy start. They're 6-0, and then they lose to a UCF.
Yeah.
I like DJ Lagway. I think everybody's completely forgotten about the guy. Do I think he's a top tier quarterback? No, but I think he's a solid mid tier quarterback. I mean, he's better than anything Baylor has had over the past 6 to 8 years.
Definitely.
Yes. It's not saying much. To respect to all the Baylor quarterbacks before, because they're all better than me. But DJ Lagway is significantly better than all of the Baylor quarterbacks. I mean, you could even date it to Bryce Petty. Like that, we're
I mean,
going all the way back.
talent wise, Lagway could be up with those guys that we talked about at the outset of the stream when I listed all those names of guys.
Yep.
But it's about application, and it's about whether or not we think, the Baylor coaching staff can get the most out of them. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Right. I think one of the things I'm most excited for this college football season has to be the return of Pac-12 After Dark.
Like, oh yes, dude, man. Yes.
I got to talk about this. I know we're talking about current college football, all that kind of stuff, but there was something special about sitting up till, I don't know, it was like 2 a.m. Central Time
morning,
watching Colorado versus Colorado State and seeing Shedeur Sanders light up Colorado State's defense, and whoever the quarterback is from Colorado State lighting up Colorado's defense. And like, when I think of Pac-12 After Dark, there's two games that come to my mind. It's that game.
Yeah.
It is that game. Like, I don't know why. Like, it's a game that truly should have not even mattered. Like, Colorado was actually good to start out the year. Colorado State, I mean, they're Colorado State. That game, and then ASU versus USC, when I believe it was Jalen Strong caught the game-winning touchdown pass from Mike Bercovici.
Oh,
it was like no time left on the clock, just a Hail Mary, couple tips. Jalen Strong's just standing there in the end zone, touchdown, game over. ASU was bad. Like, I think maybe they won 5 games that year, 6 games.
Yeah.
And USC was supposed to be one of the best teams in college football, and it knocked them out of, I think at the time it was BCS still.
So I'll take you back even further.
Let's go.
With some After Dark. This isn't even the Pac-10, Pac-12. This is the WAC. Dude, let's go back to the old school WAC. All right.
Elite ball knowledge here.
The one game, and there are a bunch from the Pac-10, Pac-12 that stand out, but this one in particular, I believe it was either 2009 or 2010. Colin Kaepernick's Nevada stunning, I think it was number 2 at the time ranked, Boise State in overtime. That game, I remember vividly. I was 11, 12 years old, sitting up at 1 a.m. watching this game unfold. And I was a big Boise State guy at the time. I loved Kellen Moore, Doug Martin, all those guys. That was my team back then for no reason. I love their uniforms. I love the blue field, whatever. But they lost to Colin Kaepernick's Nevada. Kaepernick went nuts in that game, and I remember vividly sitting up at 1 a.m. And that's one of those games that sort of shaped my college football fandom. Just unbelievable game. Boise State's kicker missed a couple of chip shot field goals that would have won them the game, etc. But that's another one. And those memories, man, they're like core memories. Just sitting up at 2 a.m. watching Hawaii with Colt Brennan and all these other guys. And I vividly remember that kind of stuff.
Dude, I routinely think of like who was the one quarterback I really grew up like idolizing. And I know, like I've said it before, Jimmy Clausen has kind of always been my guy.
Good one.
And he was like the first guy that like I immortalized. Like he was not human to me. He was like who I wanted to be.
Larger than life.
But I always had a deep appreciation. And like at the time when I was a kid, like I didn't realize how good he actually was. But Colt Brennan, like I never wanted to play quarterback, mind you. Like I was just thrusted into playing quarterback when I was a 12-year-old or whatever. And like it just became like a full-time thing. But when I was 12, like I wanted to look like Colt Brennan. Colt Brennan had so much sauce, not even swag.
Yes.
It's so much sauce. He had like the linebacker Michael Vick face mask on the shut helmet with the dark visor. He had the sleeves. Like he had everything. And like that was me. Like there is a picture. I got to find it. I didn't wear the number 15. I wore number 7, but there is a picture where I had my parents get the same Shutt helmet he had. I had the visor. They didn't let me have a dark visor. It's youth football, so I had a clear visor. It was an Oakley clear visor. I'm 12 years old. Like, there's no reason for me to have an Oakley clear visor. I have the arm sleeve on. I've got the leg bands on. Like, I thought I was Colt Brennan.
That's amazing.
So it's Colt Brennan, Jimmy Clausen, Baker Mayfield, and Johnny Manziel. I think most people our age would say, yeah, Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel are the two guys that's like,
Yep.
I want to be them. I want to be 30-year-old Johnny Manziel right now, going on TikTok and scrolling through TikTok and seeing my highlights to some Bruce Springsteen song or whatever it may be of like, that was me. That was me.
Oh yeah, man. But yeah, Pac-12 After Dark is back, dude. Thank God. Thank God.
And it's good teams too.
It is.
Like San Diego State, Boise State, like these teams are good.
Yes, they are.
Maybe not ASU, USC, UCLA good, but like it should be a fun, respectable conference. And like Washington State is on the rise, despite maybe a less than stellar record recent years. But you go and spend $4 million for a locker room renovation. Like they've got more money now than they've ever had.
Yeah.
I'm excited for them. I mean, Oregon State's got their renovated stadium. Like the two that never left might be
Outcasts.
okay.
The Outcasts. Yeah.
Yep. I shouldn't say never left. They were never invited to anywhere else. So
Yeah,
like,
they weren't.
I'm excited for both of those teams, and those two teams, they shouldn't make the playoff, but I'm really going to be rooting for Oregon State, Washington State this year, just solely due to the fact that number one, the actual Pac-12 is back. Number two, like they're the outcasts. Like they're the true American underdog story that like they're Rocky Balboa, both of them. There's two Rockies now.
Yeah.
So it should be fun to watch. The other conference too that maybe is not getting the most amount of attention right now, but I think they could make some noise as the season progresses is the AAC. I mean, their commissioner's doing so much right now to really like make it instead of, you've got now it's the Power 4, but like bring it back to being a Power 5. You take Pac-12 Power 6, like the TV deals that they're doing, they're setting themselves up to not get absorbed by the ACC or the SEC or the Big 12, which is surrounding them. And you think I think of like a Houston is the perfect example. Like Houston last year was pretty gosh darn good. And I think this year again, like Houston's going to be a solid team. And Memphis too. Memphis is one of those wild cards. Same thing with Tulane. I've got a love relationship with Tulane, man. I'm telling you, there's something about that green wave with the chrome helmet that just gets me fired up. Yeah, it just gets me fired up.
Yeah.
To think that like this is now I'm going on a random tangent here, but make a video about Trinidad Chambliss, about how good he is, all this kind of stuff, and then 2 weeks later I say, hey, Tulane's gonna upset Ole Miss. Like it's just gonna happen, and then Trinidad Chambliss not only reposts that video after Tulane gets stomped, but comments a picture of the scoreboard, and I'm like,
I love that. I love that. Yep. Yep. Fair play.
Fair play. If it wasn't Tulane, I would have never said it. But Tulane's got this weird hex over me where I just like I support them through it all. Like, so I mean, I'm super excited for this season. The one team that I've not talked about yet, and it's my baby, the old Notre Dame Fighting Irish, man.
So what? Give me a realistic I'll say expectation for them this year. What do you expect? Do you think they're like a Final Four good team? Both sides of the ball? Like, what are we thinking this year for Notre Dame?
Dude, I'm telling you, like, every year there's been part of me where it's like, we're going to be okay. Like, Riley Leonard, I thought the Riley Leonard year was like truly the first year where I was like, hey, like, this is national championship or bust. And it was national championship. Now we didn't win. And you take that first drive though from the national championship, and you end the game there like
Yeah.
the Irish dominated.
Stop playing. Just stop playing. End the game.
Stop the count. Stop the count.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you look at their defense for number one. Like, so many people think of Notre Dame as like offensive lineman U or tight end U. I think they've turned into DBU. Like
Lately,
the DBs,
man, they have been churning out defensive backs.
Unreal. And I think that's going to continue. I think the DB room that they have right now is probably the best in college football. Might be a hot take, might not. But with that, and you've got a quarterback in CJ Carr who is the best of both Riley Leonard and Sam Hartman. Like, this is a team that, based on their schedule, should go undefeated. Don't have to worry about a conference championship. You go into the playoff with essentially a 2-week rest.
Yeah.
All bets are off. I foresee Notre Dame being a top. They're not going to give them a top 4 seed just because strength of schedule.
I think they might, though.
You think so?
They might.
I think it depends on how everybody else does too. Like, if there's a lot of one-loss teams, then maybe. But like, if you've got a Georgia that's 12-0, a Miami that's 12-0, and maybe even like a Texas Tech, and then maybe like 3 SEC schools that are one loss, I don't think Notre Dame gets a top 4 seed, but I think top 6 is highly plausible.
Gotcha. Okay.
Top 4 would be great, but I think they're going to, whether it's done purposely or not, I think they're going to penalize Notre Dame just because they're not playing a conference championship. And I'm going to go on a tangent here, though. There's a lot of rumors right now that the chance of a expanded playoff to 24 teams is possible, which I'm not a fan of. I don't know. Clearly, that reaction, not a fan.
If it were up to me, there'd be 2.
I like it. I think we should go back to the BCS days.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir, bro.
Dude.
Preaching to the choir.
I would have loved. Now, there was the one drawback with the BCS of like a TCU.
Yeah.
With was it Trayvon Boykin?
Yeah.
Probably better than Notre Dame with Manti Te'o.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. But I 12 has to be the max. I don't see how a 2014 playoff would work. But if they do go to a 2014 playoff, both, I believe it was the Big 10 and the Big 12 commissioners were like, hey, like, if this happens, there's no point in playing conference championships anymore. They don't matter. You'll be penalized for playing one, essentially.
Correct.
Which I agree. I mean, even now, I would kind of agree that, like, conference championships don't hold as much weight as they should. Like, you look at a Duke. Like, I get it. It's not guaranteed you win your conference, you're in the playoff as a Power 4 team, but, like, that's how it was. That was how it was. Duke goes and wins their conference championship with 7 wins. You expect to get in. And then they kind of just randomly changed the rules. I really hope we stick with 12. But going back to the old Notre Dame thing, I think it's a boom or bust year for the Irish. You've got every single piece that you'd ever want to win a national championship and to make a run. So I've got super high expectations. And I think if you were to ask most Notre Dame fans, I think they'd say the same thing, especially CJ Carr. I know we were talking about Darian Mensah as a dark horse Heisman candidate. I think CJ Carr is a Heisman candidate. I wouldn't even put him as a dark horse. Like,
gotcha. Okay.
He's a top 4 quarterback in college football, and I think he's going to prove that this upcoming season.
Yeah. So, based on that, and I'll take your word for it. I really will. I'll take your word for all that. So based on that, we're in the, first week of January, right? The top 4. I think right now, if I had to put my final 4 in, I would say Oregon. I would say Ohio State. I would say Notre Dame. And then I might say Miami.
Dude, I like it.
I think that right now would be mine. Texas, outside looking in of that, they'd maybe be my 5, but I think that 4 right there are the 4 teams right now. If I had to prognosticate the next few months, I think those might be the last 4 teams standing.
I like it. I'm going to be 100% no biased in this. Like, we're just getting right the nitty gritty. Number 1, boy, if this happens, I'm telling you, like, I need to go buy a lottery ticket. But I got LSU number 1.
Wow.
I think they're the best team in the land on paper. Number 2, solely on who wins between Michigan and Ohio State. But if Ohio State wins, which they should be the favorite, I got Ohio State as number 2.
Yep.
3, I might stay in the Big Ten and go with an Oregon. I mean, Oregon's got a stacked
I like
roster
them a lot
themselves.
this year. I like them a lot this year.
Yep. And then I'm going to probably go with a very unfavorable pick. I really like Texas. I do.
You do? Okay.
I think Arch Manning is going to prove a lot of some of these doubters wrong. I think he's in a similar boat of Bryce Underwood, of their names are so big that, like, people expect. Now, I know the Manning last name is bigger than, Bryce Underwood, but Bryce Underwood's making what, $10 million. So, like, there's these high expectations, and like, for good reason. And I don't want to say that, like, Arch hasn't lived up to them, because, like, he's played well at times, but in a way, like, he really hasn't lived up to those expectations. So with that being said, though, Texas isn't going to be my top 4. I'd love to put them in the top 4.
Gotcha,
Texas Tech, without Brendan Sorsby, they've got all the money in the world. They are going to buy another playoff roster. Now, it's not the right way to do it, but somebody's got to. and Texas Tech showed that they don't care. They're going to buy a roster. So I think Texas Tech is going to be a 4 seed or top 4 team. I don't foresee them winning a game in the playoff, though, because the playoffs are completely different than the regular season.
Okay. I like that.
We're pretty close. I mean, I think the Oregon pick is a really favorable one.
Yeah. I think I think you get 2 Big Ten teams in the top 4, we'll call it. I think you get 2 Big Ten teams in there. I would say likely Oregon, Ohio State, but I mean, could Indiana pop off another phenomenal year? I think they could. Then you have, a team like, who am I going to say is like a dark horse in the Big Ten? Like Michigan. I mean, who knows? If they beat Ohio State, I think the committee would be pretty they would almost have to forced to be, put them in the top 4, but we'll have to wait and see.
100%. And I would also say too, and we didn't talk about them, we kind of glossed over them. Both Penn State and Virginia Tech are 2 very intriguing teams. And this is going to be my last point, but Penn State's essentially Iowa State.
They
2.0.
are. They are.
They are. Matt Campbell brought in what? 25 Iowa State guys?
Yep. Just about.
Including Rocco.
I know it's upwards of 20. I know that for a fact.
And Iowa State's had some really good teams as of recent. Never a playoff caliber good team, but like a respectable 8-4, 9-3 caliber team.
And they're gritty.
Yes.
They play gritty. And I know Rocco Becht is there now, and they have that grit factor that I think Penn State teams under a James Franklin were missing.
100%. Like, we're going back to the Petrino days now. Like, this is going to be you said it. Like, it's going to be a gritty team. I think of, like, truly relating this year's Penn State team to a, like, actual team we've seen. They are the Detroit Lions when the Lions made their playoff run a couple years ago. Like, just a team that finds unique ways to win games. And when the fourth quarter comes around, if you're up by a score, tied, or down by a score, like, Penn State's going to find a way to win, which is something that James Franklin couldn't do at Penn State. Now, on the flip side, Virginia Tech is also an intriguing team to me because they've got no expectations.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing with house money. They're playing with house money this year.
Exactly. If James Franklin goes 3-9, who cares? But if they go 9-3, heck, if they start out the college football season 4-0, that team's ranked.
Yeah.
Like the committee's going to put James Franklin in the rankings, and who knows what happens from there. Like they shouldn't be that. Like they should be a 7-5, 6-6 team at best. But I'm a James Franklin guy in the fact of he's almost like Kurt Signetti. He finds ways to win early in his
Yes.
career at teams.
Yep.
Then once he gets them established and there's that expectation associated with him, then those teams start to struggle. It's a weird dynamic. I don't think I've ever seen. There's only one coach I've really ever seen it with, and it's in the NFL, and it was with Jeff Fisher. Like those Jeff Fisher coach teams with the Titans.
I see that with Tennessee.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, like you have Vince Young. Like you should be really good. There's these high expectations, and then they go win 4 games, and it's like, oh, there's no expectations. Well, now he goes and leads the Titans or whoever it may be to a 9-7 record, and they somehow make the playoffs, and then it's back to the 8-8 for 6 years straight or whatever. Nonetheless, though, I think it's going to be a really fun college season. If you had to pick right now, we're going to end it on this. Who is your national champion?
If I had to pick right now, I think I'd have to go with Ohio State. I think they were the best team last year, and Miami just played a perfect game against them. I think, obviously, 2 years ago, they won a national title, right?
Yep.
So I think right now, Ohio State's the team for me.
Love it. Love it. I think that's actually a really good pick. Ryan Day is a great head coach.
He is, man. And he gets a lot of flack, for his style, and he's sort of abrasive here and there, but that guy knows how to coach football and he knows how to recruit.
100%. I kind of already gave my pick of who I think is going to win the national championship. Love for it to be Notre Dame. I think it's LSU. I'd love to see an LSU Ohio State national championship. Let me tell you, those tickets would be like Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway price.
Forget it. Where is the title game this year?
Ooh, is it Arizona this year?
Oh, it might be at Glendale.
Now.
Yeah.
Hold up.
We got to find
fact
this.
check. National championship this year. Ooh, even better. That was loud. It is in Las Vegas.
Oh,
buddy, we might have to make a trip out there.
Got a heavyweight fight. A heavyweight fight in Vegas. How about that now?
Oh man, that would be the game of the century.
That would be unbelievable.
Like, wow, could you imagine? But like I said, it's going to be a really intriguing and fun college football season, and I'm so fired up that college football is back. NFL is also back. Yeah, super exciting. But with that being said, appreciate you coming on here, Nate, and we'll see if we have any of these predictions that hit.
Probably not.
Yeah, you never know.
That's
never know.
How it works. You say something preseason and then the exact opposite happens. So I said Ohio State's going to win a title. Place your bet on Michigan.
Love that. Love that. I would not recommend doing that if you want to save your money, but you never know, honestly. Truly, that's a great thing. Like, go and place your money on Tulane. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, I love that.
$5 at Tulane to win and win whatever it may be. That's not going to happen, though. But yeah, again, appreciate you coming on here, man. And we'll have to have you back on as the season's progressing and talk a little bit of the NFL.
Of course, man. Appreciate you. Always a pleasure coming on here.
Yo, peace.